Hey guys, this is Matt for Creative. Today I just saw The Rise of Skywalker. I just got done doing a spoiler-free review, and this is just going to be back-to-back. This is filled with spoilers, so if you haven't watched it, watch something else. Watch the other video, which all I can say is I did like the movie, being a longtime Star Wars fan, but yeah, let's talk about what happens in the movie. Now, I literally just saw it, so trying to process everything. I saw it at Times Square, AMC 25, in 2D. First, I don't think you lose anything by seeing this in 2D and not seeing this in 3D. I think it's just, 3D is just something that looks cool. It doesn't take away or add anything to the story itself. That being said, I thought the movie, again, was great, trying to cover about 40 years of movies, TV shows, books, and comic books, and tons of other properties that are now canon. I think it does a great job trying to fill whatever you can. Now, there are some things that feel like that's a little bit forced into things, but that's just kind of what it is. Alright, so I'm going to touch on a few things. It starts off quick. It starts off with Kylo Ren looking for Emperor Palpatine because he hears that he is back in some way or form. He goes to confront him, and he kind of falls under his spell, and he starts working for him because Emperor Palpatine has promised him a lot of power in, more ships and just more power in general to rule the entire universe as the Emperor always has wanted to do, and you can probably tell that he never will really give that to Kylo Ren, and he's just using people as he always has just to get as much as possible. It just starts off with a bang. He's looking for things, and it goes to the Resistance and how they are also trying to find Emperor Palpatine. And one thing that I just want to focus on in the entire video here is that Carrie Fisher, Princess Leia, they do a really, really good job of integrating that unused footage from The Force Awakens and maybe any other properties that they have into mixing her in something that feels natural for the extent of the story. Now, fast forwarding, because this is not an entire review, this is just my thoughts on things, she does pass away. And she does this at a critical time where she's trying to help Rey get Kylo Ren while they're having one of their battles. So it seems that they are tied together. She uses her presence around him to distract him, and I guess that is just too much for her to actually continue living. That just saps her strength. She's not, a full-fledged Jedi. She is extremely powerful, but that just kind of, it wasn't, it's just too much for her to do. So yes, unfortunately, she does pass away. Let's see. It's got to be 3/4 into the movie, so she is there for a lot of the time. And again, what they do with her, it seems natural. She's training Rey, as in, she's just guiding Rey through her training and practices on the First World, which I forget where they are, but they train as the rest of the Resistance kind of does their own thing. I'm trying to think. It's really hard just to process everything and kind of spew this out because I'll make videos later that are more concise, but this is just, yeah. Alright, we're gonna go back and forth and back and forth. One of my little bit of a disappointment is that the people who were brought back, and let's call them Force ghosts, in this case, they're not really Force ghosts. They're Force voices. And as much as everybody thought that you were going to see Anakin Skywalker, you were going to maybe see Obi-Wan Kenobi played by Ewan McGregor. Oh man, my mind is going crazy right now. You don't see anybody. when there's a key moment when Rey is battling Emperor Palpatine for the final time, all you hear is voices. And I thought that maybe for a flash second you were going to see the faces of Anakin Skywalker and Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon Jinn and Mace Windu, but you do hear them. And now there's a ton of other voices that are in there, so it's, you know, you're going to rewatch it and you're going to hear it more and more. You just don't see those people. In this case, you don't see Master Yoda as a Force ghost again. You do see Luke as a Force ghost kind of throughout maybe the second half of the movie, and then at the very end, because Leia has passed, she is there with Luke as the film ends. And that's touching because, you know, it's good to have her there at the end because she passed away. She is a Force ghost. But you don't get to see any of the other people. And again, I thought that was something that was just guaranteed. But maybe it's better story-wise not having to force all of these actors and then getting hyped up. But this is what it is. It's a movie that's supposed to hype you up. Because they showed, I think what they are saying is every single ship for the final battle. They did not show all the people, and that's just a little bit confusing to me because I'm pretty sure all of the actors would be game to do it. But hey, that's just something something that happens. Let's see, another thing, lots of action. I don't want to, you know, just watch the movie yourself. It's going to be great. It felt like a fun movie. It felt like when there were little victories here and there, they expressed themselves, and they felt like, yes, this was something that's hard fought, and yeah, you can just yell out and you can just scream like, yeah. Like, that is something that is good to see the characters doing. And I that's something that makes me feel a little bit better than what The Last Jedi did, and a little bit kind of on the same lines as what The Force Awakens did. It's a joyous movie. There's a lot of, you know, this is the final battle, so, you know, there's a lot of strain on the characters, but, you know, they're still happy when things go their way, and I think that's really good. Let me think. One person that I did not expect to see whatsoever was Harrison Ford as Han Solo. And it's a little bit odd. I was sitting at the very, very front of the theater, so I was kind of, you know, the screen was kind of like weird, at a weird angle. I'm trying to think if they actually got Harrison Ford to do that, or if it was a CGI character. There was something just very strange about it that I don't know, that just didn't work in my mind. The scene worked, but for some reason, I may just have to watch this again on, you know, sitting in a normal position in a normal theater. Maybe it was just that. But at a key moment, he kind of recreates what happens in The Force Awakens, where Kylo Ren is saying, I don't have the strength to do this, can you help me? And it just reverses what happened then, and it's the time when Kylo Ren really turns from the dark side to the light side, or whatever side will be, you know, his fate. And it was a very key scene, and it was great to see Harrison Ford because, you know, he doesn't want to come in. He is a high-paid actor. He maybe is done with the story because it's, you know, he's just, you've heard his interviews and everything. Oh, my light went out. Let's bring that back in. Anyway, you can still hear me, so that's pretty good. Let's think about what exactly this movie does here. At the very... Oh, now we're just running through the spoilers, we're just running through the movie. Like, this is just my train of thought. It's just all over the place. This is probably a terrible video, and I'm sorry. So the last thing that happens is, I mean, close to the last thing that happens, is Rey is fighting Emperor Palpatine, basically blows him away. You can see his, you know, his body just disintegrating, so you can pretty much tell that this is it, because, you know, the last time he was thrown down the hole, and hey, he's back again, just like everybody who gets thrown down the hole, like Darth Maul and some other characters, they're always coming back. But this time, when you see somebody disintegrate that is a finality. But that takes everything that Rey has to counter the Force lightning that Palpatine is doing, and she dies. She really does die. But as a precursor to all of this, Force healing is a thing now in canon, and you may have seen Baby Yoda do that in episode something, which I shouldn't really, whatever. You've probably seen this already. It's now more than Force healing, because Rey did it to Kylo Ren earlier on in the film. She basically had him. She stabbed him through the chest with a lightsaber, so he was gone. And she brought him back. He was not dead, but he was just, he was mortally wounded. She brought him back. But at the end, to reverse everything, Kylo Ren Force healed and Force brought back to life Rey, and she was really gone. Her eyes were wide open. She was clearly dead. So now it seems like people can be brought back from the dead. So that is kind of something that changes things, because, one of the main things that Darth Vader wanted to do was bring Padme back from the dead, and this was just something that he couldn't do. There was many different ways that he tried to do it, by going into the afterlife and doing a bunch of things that you can probably read in comics and books, and who knows how else they'll tell that story. But this was actually literally using the Force, putting it on him or her, and just bringing Rey back from the dead. That's pretty shocking, and I'm curious to see what that's going to do with the rest of this kind of storytelling. But because of that, he dies. So the end is him really going back to the light side of the Force and passing away. And you can definitely see that, because he really, he fades away. He fades away into the Force, just as Yoda did, just as Obi-Wan did, and other people fading and integrating into the Force. And I guess because Leia and him were tied after she got into his head and distracted him, she also fades into the Force at that moment too. So they are together. They're together again. Everyone is together. By the way, Harrison Ford comes back not as a Force ghost, but as a memory inside Kylo Ren's head, just making that separation there. And he passes away. He goes into the Force. You don't see him again for the rest of the film, which is a kind of a curiosity. But I guess it is fitting that, the last thing that you do see is Rey going to Tatooine, burying Luke's lightsaber, and then also Leia's lightsaber, because they do have a flashback, which I think is one of the coolest things ever. I don't care if it looks great or not. When I was in the moment, they showed Leia training with Luke. First they had masks on so you couldn't really see, but then Luke gets knocked down and he pulls the mask up, and it is vintage Return of the Jedi aged Luke Skywalker, and then Leia pulls up her face mask, and it is a same time Carrie Fisher Leia. It's really good, and it basically, I'm one of the people who would love to see a story told from that time. I would be fine if all characters were CG. I don't care if it looks exactly quite right. Maybe wait a few years and it will look quite right. But I love seeing that kind of stuff that kind of pulls everything together, because you can do that with every single character. I would love more stories told with other actors being the body, embodying that, and then CG overlays. If they can do it right, the story would be amazing. That would just be amazing to see. But that's just my opinion, because I know a lot of people don't really like that. But all right, we've been talking here for a long time. I'm going to try and wrap everything up, because I had fun. I have a lot, my brain is scattered. I'm just pulling things over. If you just want to leave a comment on this, something specific you guys want to talk about, just, always, you can find each other in the comments, or you can ask me and I'll make another video on this. But it's exciting. I'm really happy that I saw this. I hope that everybody else sees it. I know that the reviews aren't great. People are calling it the worst Star Wars movie ever. Hey, they had to pull in a lot of stuff from a lot of content and try to wrap things up in a way that does things well. And I think they do, because I think this story does provide a balance in the universe. And I think that can lead on into more stories. There's always going to be good and bad, and they're going to be fighting, but the Force is balanced. The Force was brought back to a balance, and I think that is good to see. One more thing, one more thing. If you didn't catch it, is that Rey is the granddaughter of Emperor Palpatine. That was kind of a shock. I heard claps and screams, and I heard some groans too. I can kind of see that, but it ties everything together. It's it is what it is now. They do not deny that Rey's parents were just filthy traitors or whatever. That's still true, but one of the two people, either the father or the daughter, was Emperor Palpatine's child. So it's kind of curious to see. I'd like to see more on that, in comic books or TV shows or something. That's kind of interesting. So she is she's not a Skywalker, but she is a Palpatine. All right, last thing is that Rey buries Luke's and Leia's lightsaber. She has her own lightsaber now, and I believe it's fashioned out of her staff. As far as I can tell, she has a white lightsaber with tinges of yellow around there, so I was like, are my eyes kind of playing tricks on me? But I believe it's a white lightsaber, and of course that means that actually is I believe, a red lightsaber that has been purified. And I think earlier in the movie, when Kylo Ren, he disowns his old lightsaber, I believe that may have been his crystal. Maybe that's just something wrapping things up, but I believe that was his crystal. So she does have a white lightsaber at the very end of everything. And then the final shot is her and BB-8 on Tatooine after she's buried the lightsabers, and you can see the dual suns and they're setting, and then that's the story, and that's over. So I'm a big fan of it. I just say watch it, have your own opinion too, and if you're a fan and love it, and you're a fan and hate it, this is just more to talk about. But this is the end of everything in this Skywalker saga, so I think it's pretty interesting after all. Alright guys, this has been a very long video, but thank you so much for watching and dealing with the light issues and everything here. But thank you guys, subscribe, and I will see you next time.